from our live and our online audience. And to do that, we have a Padlet where you can drop your insights and questions. So this can be used by both our online attendees and our live audience, but our live audience can actually have the advantage of asking their questions later. May round of applause tayo. I like that. I like that. All right. So please be part of our discussion by sending your insights and questions in that Padlet, and we will get back to that later. So together with the team behind this podcast, we are excited to spearhead today's topic. I'm very excited to learn from our line of amazing speaker and panelists for today. With our topic, optimizing value add of coaching and mentoring. So in this episode, we will explore how line leaders and HR practitioners can foster a culture to drive a coaching culture to drive employee development and organizational success. Okay, so I mentioned marami po tayong kapita-pitagan na guest natin for today whom I'm really excited to learn from. And I'm sure because this is only a 1.5-hour session, alam ko maraming mabibitin talaga. No? We want to maximize this. So let me introduce our speaker for today. You may have seen her in TikTok. You may have seen her in Facebook. So she's an influencer. Okay, you can ask her questions and she will answer. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest speaker for today is the leadership coach and human capital consultant of MCPS Consulting and currently the Vice President of the International Coaching Federation Philippines. Let's all welcome Coach Tina Shoson. Good afternoon. We have Ayan.
Good afternoon. Kahit po walang mic.
Palit tayo, palit tayo.
Alright. Ayan. Magandang hapon.
Hello. Oo. Magandang hapon, everyone, and thank you for having me. ICF, para akong dito go ICF, no? So, and PMA, PSOF, no? Thank you for having me, and this is a topic that is very close to my heart, no? Coaching and mentoring, and how exactly can this move the needle of development and transformation in our organization. But you know, and a little later, I know you will introduce them. Hindi po ako ang main speaker dito. Naatasan lang akong magsalita, no? Now, I'm here to give you thought starters, but we will wait for our three panelists because how they will share their own experiences in their own organizations. Albeit it may not be perfect, no? It's a work in progress, but we would love to hear that. No? So, yan po ang ating abangan in our succeeding few more minutes and hour. So, let me start by, I can control it here, right? Let me start by providing you a context, no? A context on coaching and mentoring. Were we able to ask them a question in the past, Jamai?
That is part of the Padlet that we showed earlier. And
All
also,
right.
yes.
Oo. Because if I can just say it here, no, nagpractice po kami talagang ganito, no. So, if I can just share here what is in the Padlet, we wanted to ask, no, audience and the virtual audience and the audience right here, you know, if you look back in your career or in your life, no, were there significant people that you've come across with, no, wherein they really impacted your life as a careerist, in terms of your, you know, they coach you or they mentored you in the past. Meron po bang ganon? Meron kayong naiisip na ganon? Di ba meron, no? In one way or another, it could be formal or informal relationship with people senior to us, with people of same age or same level with us, no? That became a mentor or a coach in one way or another as we go through our own journey in our career. So tanungin po natin, ano po ba yung difference itong coaching and mentoring na to? What exactly, how exactly? Because this is oftentimes mixed or confused, no? As two terms we're in. So tingnan po natin, let's look at coaching. Coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Hindi po yan original, yan po ay ICF. That's a global definition of ICE, International Coaching Federation, about coaching. So ano pong sinasabi niya? Yung coach, tsaka yung coachee, co-equal sila. Co-equal, walang mababa sa kanila. The most important thing about coaching is, one, the coachee may be the content expert because what the coach and the coachee will discuss is all about the coachee. But the other portion or the other part of the partnership, which is the coach, is the process expert. What does the coach do? They give structure in the conversation, so much so that if there were cobwebs in the past, naliliwanagan yon. And eventually the person sees to it that, oh my God, the answer are really inside me. The power is actually inside me. And that's the power of coaching. No? Hindi po galing ang solusyon sa coach. But the thought-provoking question and how the coach will unleash that is what is important and what we really avail and pay for a professional coach. Now, let's look at mentoring because there's another side that we will have to study this afternoon, no? Ano naman yung mentoring? Mentoring is a developmental partnership. Again, it's a partnership, no? Where a more experienced or a more knowledgeable mentor, known as a mentor, provides guidance, support, and advice to a less experienced person referred to as the mentee, no? So, kung kanina partnership siya, co-equal si coach and si coach at si coachee, dito po sa mentoring, medyo mas mataas si mentor, no? Because in terms of perhaps experience, in terms of perhaps, knowledge of the subject matter, mas meron siya. And thus the mentor transferred that to the mentee. No? Now, meron pong sinasabi ngayon, lalo na sa mga Gen Z. Sino po ba ang Gen Z sa audience natin? Ayan, sige po, claim to fame, no? Ayan, especially for the Gen Zs, no? They can actually be our mentors. Reverse mentoring po ang tawag doon. Why? They may not be there from a chronological age or maybe experience, but in terms of subject matter expertise when it comes to digital world, di ba mas magaling sila? Because they are digital natives. Tayo po, myself included, I am a digital migrant. My daughter, right there, Micaela Ray, is teaching me. No? Kilala yan ng mga taga-ICF, teaching me how to be a digital native. She is very much a digital native. No? So, sometimes, mini-mentor niya rin ng mami niya. No? So that's what reverse mentoring is. Now, there are so many trends, Jamay, that we were able to come up with, di ba? But we only chose 4. Meron na po kaming iniwan. We left the others, no, for your reading, no. But I'd like to make mention of this top 4. So first trend in coaching is what we call generative AI or AI-driven personalization, no. So what happens then? Our coaching, hindi po AI ang nagko-coach. papunta pa lang po tayo doon, no? Papunta pa lang because the emotions nahihirapan pa pong flow ng AI in terms of empathy, compassion. Nandyan po may challenge ang AI. But in terms of how do we optimize this? Coaching and mentoring is helped by AI-driven personalization because they're able to really look at the goal, really look at the learning style and progress of the person, the data, no? And run it in a system wherein a certain recommendation or set of recommendations can be put forward for the coachee. That's the help that AI is doing for different coaches, no? Now, paano yun, Coach Tina? No, hindi na ba kailangan ng mga coach? Actually, what the professional coaches does is leverage on the initial AI, no, generated information, but try to still zero in on personalizing it based on their conversations with their coachee. So kailangan po talaga yon yung human touch, we call it human touch of the coachee. Another trend is data-driven insights. So very much related to AI, which what we're saying here is the different techniques, no, are personalized and are measured, no, measured so that the information is based on facts. Based siya sa facts, hindi maliligaw ang coach at ang coachee, no? So that's another trend, no? So this is very AI driven, no? AI driven and data driven insighting. A little later po we'll ask our panelists, esteemed panelists, paano ba to nangyayari, or maybe their organization is slowly entering into it, no? The other two, and I will stop here in terms of the trends. Integration in talent management strategies. Marami po tayong human capital practitioners in front of me now. Napaka-importante po nito. Coaching and mentoring are not meant to be standalone solutions. It is meant to be integral to the different people processes that we have in our respective organizations. At pwede po siya. Nakita ko na po yan in different client organizations that I lead. Pwede po siya, it really helps, no? It really helps to integrate it from hiring to development to engagement to exiting, performance management, etc., no? The last one is the trend now focusing on team coaching or the team dynamics, no? So ang coaching po, nakita, we were able to see the power of coaching for one-on-one discussions. However, trends now are saying there is also value in looking at the team dynamics, how the dynamics of the team and the environment where the team is affecting the performance or non-performance of a team. So, yan po ang ikaapat na trend. Iniwan na po namin ni Jamie yung dalawa pa, no, na top 6. The other thing that I wanted to share, no, and this is so close to my heart because line leaders, no, it is very pivotal in really making a coaching culture in an organization. Napaka-pivotal po ng line leaders natin, no? Si HR po or si human capital, nariyan po sila. However, it is really the line leaders who will make a difference in this coaching and mentoring in an organization. Kasi because line leaders' role as coaches and mentors, we have simplified it into 3. The first one, the line leader is a guide. It's a guide so the talent can embrace the growth mindset. No? There are many explanation of a growth mindset. Pero ako po sisimplihan ko, use the word yet. No? I am not yet equipped. We are not yet there. And because we postured it that this is not yet, no, this is not yet happening, then the probability of us developing into something better as a talent, as a careerist, or as a team is right there. So growth mindset. The second one is building trust and psychological safety. Yan po ang primary role ni line leader in coaching and mentoring. And quite frankly, we cannot bring this up to the CEO. Unfortunately, we cannot bring this role up to the CEO. The CEO is there to be your icon. To be your icon. Meaning, pag sinabi ni CEO, let's go right there. That is the direction. Everyone follows. But when people have questions, they will not go to the CEO. They will go to their line leaders. They will believe their line leaders, not the CEO. Why? Because the line leader has the relationship with that particular person. That's how powerful the role of the line leader is. Building trust and psychological safety. I just wanted to share a bit more about psychological safety, but I will not explain it here. Tsaka alam mo, based sa research, and I remember E.D. Rene telling us, Tina, ano ba talaga, what exactly is that challenge? Ano ba talaga yung challenge natin about coaching and mentoring? And you know what came up in the researches? It's the ability of the line leader to establish psychological safety. Yun po ang pinakamalaking challenge ngayon. No? So, yun po. And it does not necessarily mean the line leader doesn't want to. It means the line leader doesn't know how, doesn't know yet. No? The last role of the line leader is to align goals of the individual and the organization. Hindi lamang po yung goal ng tao ang importante sa line leader. He is also responsible for the overall goal of the organization. And he tries his best to make that a win-win for the careerist and for the organization. I will not deal much with the line leader value add, but I'd like us to look at the top 3 risks for line leaders if we make them our coaches and mentors in the organization. First of which, the bias and subjectivity kicks in. Tao lang. Diba? The bias and the subjectivity might kick in. So anong ibig sabihin? Our line leaders must have that mindfulness. Must have that mindfulness that I need to be able to detach myself and really take this person as he or she is without judgment. No? Naaaral po 'yon. We can learn that as leaders. Time constraints and competing priorities, of course, if there is deliverable, reschedule natin, ha? Reschedule natin. So that's a risk. That's a risk. And then the lack of coaching and mentoring skills, which of course your human capital, internal talents and organization are addressing by putting in place coaching and mentoring enablement for line leaders. Last topic na po natin to bago nating tawagin dyan ang ating mga esteemed panelists, no? Kung si line leader may role, human capital or HR, ano naman ang role natin? Diba? Meron din tayong role because the leader cannot just do it alone. No? So may role din tayo. 3 lamang po. We are the talent managers and program integrators. Kung may kailangang kumumpas, if anyone needs to orchestrate this, it is the human capital organization. No, napaka-important po niyang role natin na yan. Meaning, key players, line leader, careerist, nandyan si subject matter expert, nandyan si HR, no? I-integrate natin yung role nila so we can move in synergy with one another in making or transforming our organization from where it is right now to where we want it to be. Engagement and retention champion, another role of HR or human capital. Napakahirap po. Imagine, we invested a lot, no? Nag-invest tayo to be able to build the competence in coaching and mentoring. And then eventually, lalabas yung talento or lalabas yung leader. So, part of our role is to make sure they are engaged. And engagement does not necessarily mean it's a monetary engagement. Quite frankly, based on research, money will not hold people. Now, to stay, no. So there's something else that talents and leaders look for, no, for them to continuously be engaged in an organization. Last, link to the on-demand generation. Sino po ba ang on-demand generation when it comes to coaching and mentoring? Any guess kung sino ang on-demand sa mga generation? The millennials and Gen Zs. Sila po yung nagka-crave for mentoring and coaching. Sila po. And our job is to link, kasi most of the coaches and mentors are more seasoned. Sinabi ko po seasoned. More seasoned. Seasoned talents inside the organization. No? So they are the ones, no, that we need as HR, we need to link them up with the on-demand generation, the Generation Zs. And linking them up means we are able to enlighten them in terms of how do they manage? Ano ba ang likes and dislikes ng Gen Zs? Because in a matter of 2-3 more years, no, I think the millennials and the Gen Zs are the majority workforce in most organizations, if not all. So I think that's how it is in terms of optimizing value of coaching and mentoring. Jamay, the intention is for us to seed thought starters. Now, help me out, no? Let's call in our esteemed panelists.
How about a round of applause for Coach Tina? Thank you so much, Coach Tina. Alam mo, with that 20 minutes yata, no? 20-15 minutes yata, ang dami na natin nakuha. Right? No? So it's really very valuable insight. Share ninyo about AI-driven personalization, data-driven insights, integration and talent management, and yung isa pa, integration of talent management, and may isa pa.
Integration and team dynamics.
Yung coaching, no? Ang dami na nating nakuha dito. Ako rin may mga questions sana, no? But I know I want to give the floor for the questions and insights. Syempre sa audience natin.
That's
and
true.
pretty sure yung audience natin has some insights and questions already, okay? Pero para ma-expound natin, no, with yung topic on this and to also hear best practices from our guests.
Yes, excited na ako, girl.
Ay, ako din. So, let us do this without further ado. And let's call our 3 HR leaders. First off, we're gonna call the Senior Vice President and HR Group Head for SM Supermalls. She leads the HR Group at SM Supermalls, overseeing several business units and a 7,500-strong workforce spanning 87 branches nationwide. She excels in strategic internal communication, HR business partnering, talent and performance, leadership development, org development, and HR transformation. Her enterprise-wide OD programs have received local and international recognitions, including the Stevies, PMAP, HR Asia, among others. Let's all welcome Ms. Sharon Luth.
Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po.
Alam niyo, parang ako tumatawag ng mga artista.
Oo,
May mga
diba?
susunod pa. Yes.
Ang ganda pa.
Correct.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. Now, to join us,
Mm-mm.
our next panelist, ito rin, artistahin.
Artistahin din yan.
Yes.
Mhm.
The group head of human resources of China Banking Corporation with 2 decades of leadership experience in FMCG and banking. She began her career in finance and logistics at Dole Philippines before transitioning to HR at Dole Asia, where she led regional shared services. She later established the HR function at ANZ Banking Group Philippines and spearheaded talent and culture initiatives for ANZ Bank Thailand. In 2021, she joined China Banking Corporation, becoming group head in 2023. Under her leadership, CBC's People Agenda has focused on enhancing employee experience, leadership development, and building a future-ready workforce. Let's all welcome Miss Danny Michelle Cruz.
Magandang hapon sa lahat. I'm a China banker and I'm proud of it.
Diba? Yeah. To join our esteemed panel
Mhm.
or guest for today. Of course,
Pinakagwapo.
yes. And not to mention, mentor ko po ito.
Ayan.
FLP mentor ko ito. Okay? The Senior General Manager and Vice President of Human Resource Philippines and ASEAN for Special Projects of Nissan, a transformative HR leader with over 30 years of experience. Sir Eric has driven innovation, engagement, and performance at Nissan Philippines, a certified executive coach and a DDI certified facilitator. Specializing in behavior-based interviewing, he is also a mentor, coach, and advocate for future HR leaders, a fellow in people management, and former PMAP Board of Trustee member. His dedication continues to shape the HR community. We also extend our gratitude to Nissan Philippines, Sir Eric, for this wonderful venue for hosting us today. Maraming salamat, Mr. Erickson del Castillo.
Great Nissan Day, everyone, and welcome to the Nissan head office.
Maraming salamat po. This is very comfy, no, na venue natin. And welcome to our panel. Ayan, feeling ko talaga nasa talk show na ako. So we have our guests for today. And because we want to expound on the topic that Coach Tina opened, no, ang dami na kagad na insights. We want to learn from you because you belong to very, very good organizations who are practicing itong coaching and mentoring. So we'd like to through questions that are actually came from our attendees also. No? So may mga questions na tayo nakuha kayo from them. So let's start with, ano po ba ang best practices ninyo when it comes to coaching and mentoring in your respective organization? So, mauna po tayo, ladies first muna. Cheryl.
All right. Hello. Okay. Thank you so much. I resonate a lot with what Coach Tina has been sharing a while ago because I see a lot of the things she shared as something we've been really trying to embrace in our own organization, where we are scattered across 87 branches nationwide, over 7,500 employees, with 91% generations Y and Z. So the young people are really dominating the workforce. So in 2019, we started the journey of really developing our leadership team. So we started with mentoring first. We called it MAP, or the Mentoring Agreement Program, because there has to be an agreement that you want to be mentored and you'd like to mentor. And it is a journey, not an overnight, sensation. So on 2 years after, we introduced coaching. And then we now try to blend it because it's never, as you said, never a one style or one approach thing. You have to be versatile as a leader. And that's what we've been trying to really teach our people. But the biggest thing was the resistance also of the leaders to document. Yes. So we tried to bring in technology. So we brought in the SM Life app and we created there a very simple feature, which is the coaching and mentoring logs. Because what gets measured gets
Gets
done.
done.
Because we wanted to say, yes, you're doing it, but are you doing it in a structured way? Is it effective? So it really helped us. And in 2 years' time, we were able to reach, and I'm very proud of this, and all the Supermalls employees out there who helped us put it together, we've reached a critical mass of 88% coaches ahead and on track. So I'm really proud of the journey because it is not an overnight thing, and it came with a lot of influencing and a lot of teamwork and support from our very own president. So that's where we are in a nutshell so far.
So much. It's Cheryl, no? Coach Tina, ang ganda nung
Oo.
very practical.
Oo. And one of the things that really highlighted, no, and I think all the audience would benefit from this, yeah, is that the support coming from the top leaders is so critical. The line leaders can do so much, the HR people can do so much, but that particular endorsement, sponsorship, and push is very critical. Well done in what you're doing, no?
Thank you to the whole team.
And the whole, some of them are here.
Yes.
Ayun. And of course, syempre, we also want to hear, no? Maraming mga best practices dyan. How about in China Bank? Dad?
Yeah, thank you, Jamai. So China Bank, we're actually over 100 years, no? And our bank, we have about 11,400 people across the Philippines. So, our journey started about 3 years ago. Primarily, you can't actually parang push it, easily, no? As Sharon had said, it's really a journey. So what we did was we started with executive coaching. So we chose leaders because they need to believe in the process, and it has to be something that they experience themselves. So we chose about, I think, 15, 16 leaders, and they had one-on-one executive coaching for about 6 months. And then after that, so it has to be, when in business, you need to actually talk their language also, diba? So for us to actually make a number of our people managers embrace coaching, we had to go to the business unit, which it would make it would be more valuable for them. So we went into the retail banking business segment, and we actually did coaching area heads. So area heads actually they oversee branches. So we actually rolled out a training for the branch heads just to get them the discipline of sales culture, right? However, that has to be supported by, the area heads coaching them on their performances.
Right.
So what we've seen in a period of like 12 months, we've monitored branch heads who finished their training and then had undergone coaching. They actually did what they call this an improvement in the performance, 55%
Wow.
improvement in
25%.
55. Yes. Now, for the rest of the bank, what we wanted to make sure is that we establish psychological safety. We've launched it August last year. So we're in, various stages right now. We started with the simplest one, just to get the people to embrace the concept and then be comfortable with that. So we're starting small baby steps. You don't need to go full blast. So you really need to go, slow steps so that people can actually enjoy it and embrace it. Yeah.
Beautiful. And yeah, oh, and notice that if the best practice shared by Miss Cheryl is really a very good endorsement, sponsorship up there, and measuring it. Diba? Yun yung narinig ko eh. What I heard from Ma'am Tani is actually the importance of allowing the leaders to experience it as well, no? You really took time to have your leaders experience it because they would be your living advertisement, no, for this particular endeavor. Ang ganda.
Yes,
No?
yes. Ang ganda. Kasi nandun talaga yung integration. And yung you're equipping them, no? Yes, yes. How about sa Nissan, Sir Eric? Ito, marami na ako narinig dyan, di ba? Knowing na.
Sir Eric yun, ano?
No, but would like to share.
Yes, as mentioned by Coach Tina earlier, the strategy for coaching and mentoring. These are very powerful tools, no? And it is part of our talent management strategy. Sabi ni Coach Tina, it should be integrated.
Yes.
Our mantra, our objective in talent management is build leaders from within. That's our mantra. And we're aiming that 50% of our executives going up to the level of leadership should come from within. And we are tracking our success by ensuring that all the direct reports to the CEO would have a successor in line, no? Up to third level, or as much as possible, third level, that could possibly replace them in case of vacancy. So coaching and mentoring are very powerful tools. Here in Nissan, we implemented back in 2017. One time, I sat with the former president of Nissan, an Australian Indian. I asked him what makes him awake at night. What keeps him awake at night? And he told me, Eric, I'm not really particular about sales, sabi niya. I'm worried about our leaders in the future. That was 2017, 6-7 years ago. And just last January of 2024, we lost 3 executives. We are only 10 direct reports to the president in 30 days.
Wow.
We lost to competitors. Good thing we have immediate successors. And the coaching and mentoring programs that we have laid down over 7-8 years proved worth it in January of 2024. It was worth it because in 24 hours, we were able to replace these 3 executives. We didn't counter offer because that's not our practice in Nissan. It's not part of our culture. And in a week's or a month's time, we were able to make sure that the business is going to move forward.
Galing, Jamil, galing. No, succession management is very alive. And Nissan was able to really optimize the value of coaching and mentoring in preparing a strong succession bench. So much so that, Sir Eric, kahit na, does the competitor snatch them, you were ready. Kudos to your HR team. You were ready. That's not easy. You were ready.
Great. Ang ganda. Ang ganda ng mga practical. Kasi I'm sure that our audience right now, yan ang mga questions today. How do we do this in our own organizations? We have very, very good examples here. Coach Tina, I would also, singit ko lang to, like apologize to our online participants. I think we lost audio kanina, the first 10 minutes. So I hope you're hearing us very well. Totoo po kami, nagsasalita kami dito.
Kanina ko sign language.
The sign language na. But hopefully you can also send in your questions. I think our team will be helping us, making sure that your questions will be answered kung kaya ng time. Yan. Hindi ko lang promise lahat. And then we are also giving an opportunity to our live audience to ask a question later. Ayan. So I think meron na silang mga tanong, Coach Tina. Pero yun, balik tayo doon sa naging sharing nila. In your experience, Coach Tina, we've seen similar sa mga organizations that you, or yung mga naging clients mo.
Yes. I have a current client wherein the coaching is really being applied in their leadership development. So the leadership development of the past wherein it's just a program that's already passé. So they're very, very keen into executive coaching. I'm one of the executive coaches of this organization. And they are also into what we call action learning, meaning after the training, how do we now put that into a job-based learning? Wherein a panel will have to check or assess the reality of what they're doing. So ito yung sinasabing yung ROI ng training through coaching and mentoring is very, very clear. Yes.
Very evident talaga. Nakita mo yung product mo. Okay. And I'm seeing, Coach Tina, meron tayong mga questions coming in, no? So,
Dami.
Related to kasi may sharing tayo kanina from our panelists, no? So, meron tayo very specific po. I think this is for Sir Eric. Sir Eric, what was the best practice in creating the coaching and mentoring culture in Nissan, especially that the focus was promoting from within?
I think it's the support of top management, as mentioned by Dina. It's very important that you get the buy-in of the president. And what I shared with you in 2017, it was my president, our president, who told me his concern. So he was immediately, when he spoke about that, I sent all our the immediate report to the direct report to the president, as we assigned them as mentors right away, and we sent them out for a training, and then we made sure that they would get all the skills, and year on year I would even send them for progressive programs on mentoring, coaching, and here at Nissan we have foundation courses also, like situational leadership, the Ken Blanchard for coaching, things like that. It's really a part of our system. It's just that at times they get to forget, but here the role of HR is to, sabi nga natin, to integrate all this system together. I think the success factor is number one is the support of your top management, and of course the mentors, the executives who would support you because they will be assigned as mentors in the future.
Right.
Very crucial, very critical yung support of top management, as also shared by
Yes.
Shelly.
Yeah, I think that to add to what Eric said, the trust in management, not just the support of management, but the trust people have. So you have to build that, especially during the toughest times. I'd just like to share during the pandemic period, very tough on the malls. We still found ways for the president to talk to the people. That's how you build trust. When you don't have anything really great to say, you still face your people and say something to be felt, to know what they're there. And, fast forward, emerging from the pandemic, now our latest survey would show that our 94% sentiment has put their trust in top management in running the business. And so when that same management pushes for coaching and mentoring and is the one leading it, then it's a good combination.
It's easier dahil
It makes HR's job a little bit easier. A little bit.
Jermaine. And I was just caught by what Sir Eric shared earlier, because it's really, you need this leaders, coaches, and mentors to stay with the organization, no? Kasi you're continuously building them, eh.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, if I may just inject this question. Did you by any chance use a strategy in terms of building a community of practice inside Nissan? It's a question. I'm just curious.
Gladly, Nissan Philippines has become the benchmark for ASEAN. Accelerate, we call it. It's all over here. And it started in the Philippines in 2017. It's now in Thailand, and it has been implemented across ASEAN in November 2024. And this week, we're rolling out a mentoring program in place of the Accelerate ASEAN, because we just put it we suspended this program for a while. Just mentoring. So we are asking all our leaders to register if they want to be mentors for the ASEAN group. And we now have registered about 10 of our executive across ASEAN to they actually given their full support. They have registered, and we have a community of mentors already. Because, as I said, Accelerate is already in ASEAN, and when we implemented another program on top of Accelerate, which is High Gear, we call it High Gear because mentoring is quite fast track for 15 months. A lot of our executive are now enrolling to become future mentors because the business is going through a lot of challenges. And we said that we need mentors now because we need to develop leaders in a fast track lane.
That's
Actually, I'm using all relevant words in the automotive industry. Accelerate, fast track, and all those things.
Very on brand.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Maganda yung ano ba yung sabi ko kanina, trust, no? We came upon that big word, sabi nga nila, trust. ano kaya yung role of, kasi we're looking at the role of line leaders, but specifically also on the role of HR. Ano yung role ng HR in ensuring that there's that trust between the people? Let's start with Ms. Tani.
Miss Danny.
Oo, for us in China Bank, I think it was really important. We actually integrate, we have homegrowns and we have new hires. So right now we're actually about 55%, new hires, probably tenure of 0 to 5 years, no. And for a Centenarian Bank, you actually have homegrowns who actually have service tenure of 20 years, 30 years. So it's something that you have to put a balance in, making sure they're actually comfortable, no? So that's why in our approach, we needed to be conscious of that. It was really deliberate to introduce psychological safety because, while we have respect, as part of our values and concerns for people, but it has to be practiced, felt, and seen, no? Kasi nga, it's been in a big organization, so we have to make sure that our people, the new ones, the Gen X, Gen Z, and the millennials, no, they actually get to feel, belonging into the organization, feel comfortable. So for us to do that is really just to get them to understand that we're all the same, but we do have different capabilities. So we've started, really introducing a lot of initiatives under the psychological safety program. However, that's just one component of our current. We have this culture program. It's called One China Bank program. It actually merges, the values, personal values, and also the one with the team and with that organization. So we're rolling that out. It's just, about a little over a year, a little over a year. And we're rolling it out across the whole organization just to make sure that everyone's aligned. And, we're actually just seeing, the same, what we call this, workplace, the temperature of the workplace is going to be the same in terms of like, psychological safety. And, earlier, I think Eric actually mentioned about, having support from the leader. It's really important to build the tone from the top. So for us to do that, we also had worked on in establishing our leadership brand. And it's actually done in-house. So it was developed in-house and with, various inputs from the different leaders, from senior, middle, and even, the employees themselves. We wanted to make sure that it's uniquely China Bank because we have a, very unique organization, very unique journey. So with that, in terms of the leadership elements, we call it on-time leadership. So on time, T means transcends, I inspires, M motivates, and E exemplifies. So under the time, the transcends actually is where you would have the coaching. Kasi that's where you actually have talent development, the curiosity element, and also the empathy. So basically, you have to actually have a feel of the other person, in terms of respecting that space of that person within the organization, what the person contributes. So really, I think making sure that everyone's, comfortable, they're in a safe space, whether it's work related or personal aspect. So because most of the time they spend about 8-10 hours in the office, so that has to be there for coaching to actually at least be nurtured. Yeah.
Thanks for that. If I may just add, Jemai, no? I've heard Ma'am Danny talk about or mention psychological safety for several occasions or several from her answer, no? So i-dimension lamang po natin, no? Let's try to dimension psychological safety, or I call it, let's try to demystify it, no? Kasi psychological safety is such a huge word, no? So one of the things, and these are not the only practices, no? But one of the practices that is pervasive in organizations, in progressive organizations, when it comes to psychological safety is talents, leaders, people can ask questions, regardless how crazy the question may be. No, no one will judge him or her. No, so that's one. The second a talent, a leader, or whoever coming from the organization can put forward an idea, even though it's not yet refined. Even though it's not, because the traditional way is it has to be the brightest idea before we put it forward there. So in a psychologically safe space, no, people or employees are able to put forward ideas, no, kahit dahilaw pa, you know, it's half cooked, but because people feel psychologically safe, no, they build on each other's idea. So what happens if instead of so that's no, what happens is when a person or the team builds on each other's idea, it becomes an end. Yes, and no. Yes, and maybe this can form part of that. And maybe there's another one, no? So then you would see that, oh my God, the first seeding of idea is totally different, yes, but it's a lot better, you know. So I hope I gave you two dimensions. There are a lot more dimensions in psychological safety. I'm
Yeah.
sure our panelists would have more in terms of their own practices, no? But I just wanted to see that at this point.
Correct, correct. I did notice that, no, because psychological safety you mentioned already earlier,
Mhm.
it's one of the challenges.
It is the biggest challenge.
Yes, and you mentioned, di ba na some people do not know how ba? How
Right, right. I came to realize I was coaching a Filipina lawyer, and it's my time to circle back to my sponsor, who is a Dutch. No, the bosses are Dutch, and one is a Filipino. She's in a Helix organization. No, so matrix sila. And part of my practice is before I circle back on my one-pager assessment, I run it by my coachee. So I co-create the report with my coachee. And if there's any single part of that report that the coachee doesn't feel comfortable, I will scrap that out. The sanctity of information and confidentiality with the coachee is so important, no? So nag-circle back kami, and that was the need of the lawyer. Top line lawyer to. Well, no names na lang ngayon, ano? So the key there, panelists, is that the Dutch higher level, different nationality, said, Coach Tina, I'm really curious, how do I develop psychological safety? Because I may be the reason why she doesn't feel secured, or she doesn't feel comfortable. So that's a beautiful insight coming from the leader, no? Plus the need for us to have a common understanding of psychological safety.
Correct, correct. Sometimes it's really a matter of what is it? The definition.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. We're looking at line roles of line leaders, roles of HR here. We've gone through the best practices of our guests for today. Now I'd like to ask the audience, if you have a question, you can actually microphone, or you can get the microphone para we can have someone answer. So, meron po bang may question from our audience? We can, before we go back, kasi baka naman nakafocus tayo sa ating mga online attendees. Marami pa silang question, but I'd like to make sure that you guys are given that opportunity. Ayan, Coach.
Dati rin ganito
Oo nga. Multitasking tayo dito. Multitasking. Sige. So, yes. So, introduce yourself and
Ayan. Tsaka kung taga saan siya.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Neth from Eastern Philippines. Under name. So my question is for everyone. What is your most memorable coaching session? So,
As a coach or as a coaching?
as a coach.
As a coach.
nagre-reflect ng teknika sila ang coach. Kasi memorable, no? Baka marami din dito. Oo, pwede.
Mag-isip pa sila.
Baka nag-iisip ang ating panelists. Nag-ano pa sila?
So this is very recent. This is very recent. This gave impact to me as her coach, primarily because I saw the transformation. after 6 months of journeying with her, no, I saw the transformation. And it was so simple. She just said, "Think, I can never allow myself to operate from expectations." Ganon kasimple yung insight niya. And I am saying this, Coach Tina, because no, I have noticed a difference in how my people and my leaders respond to me. And that's for a coach. That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful because that is transformation on the part of the person. So, yan po. Nakapag-isip na po ba kayo?
I can share one.
Okay.
Right. It was with one of our senior leaders. I won't say which company and in what era, but this is the kind of person who would say, "I don't have empathy. I'm not that type of leader. I'm a type of leader who really would like to just get the work done." But this person also is able to really seek a lot of my time for a period of time. It's a type of conversation where I have to go home, but the person is still there. So I have to give time because you are HR, you are a coach. Yeah. And then at one point, the person was sharing with me the things he did. And I said, "You know, that's actually very empathetic of you." And he said, "I learned that from you." So in the course of discussing him having a pair of ears for me, without me really saying, "You have to be this, you have to be that." It was really a session which opened up his mind, and the change was seen. And the people also approached and said, "Our boss showed some changes for the better." So even if sometimes time would be really given, even though it's a very precious commodity, it's really a measure of how you value your line partner.
Yeah, I have also a similar situation. This was a senior leader, and that leader is known to be very, like an iron lady. So she was actually known as such. Very action driven, results driven. So when she gets in the room, I think you can feel tension. And people would actually have some kind of a fear, anxiety. So over time, we've had a number of conversations. You really invest, time to do that kind of conversation because it's important that that particular senior leader or leader would be able to at least reach out, to the whole team, right? So at one point, there was a realization that that leader shared, in one of the conversations, and this actually this was the statement. Um, I I have to look backwards and inwards in terms of how I'm behaving because I need to understand or probably have a view of what people will talk about me or have an impression of me about 10 years from now. So that was very impactful for that person, meaning to say that if my team would actually see me in the future as this, I'd probably need to change. So, over time that has actually changed and we felt it, and I think, they have different ways. So in their own unique ways, they actually change and people feel that. So, tayo naman in mga Filipinos, we appreciate, any gesture or effort of, changing oneself, as long as it's authentic, genuine, then, people actually welcome that. Yeah.
Well, for me, I am an aspiring executive coach. One time, I had a conversation with our former president in Nissan, and he wanted me to be his coach also because I asked for his permission if he could sponsor me to enroll kasi medyo expensive. So he asked, sabi niya, can you be my executive coach if you graduate? No problem. One time, just an hour before the executive committee meeting, we had a conversation. And I know that he has been having problems with some of the executives in terms of relationship. And I asked him, he's a Spanish, and I told him, how's your relationship with this executive, Mr. President? And he said, why are you asking? Why are you so concerned? Sabi niya, because I want harmonious working executives in the organization. And he didn't respond right away. But, you know, after we had that conversation, it was a long conversation. And as I said, we would have an executive meeting after that. I saw that he transformed because he approached that person right away. He said, how are you when entering the executive meeting? When in fact, I know that they had a very tough quarrel the day before because I was in front of them. They were really having a hard discussion and I was in the middle. In fact, he said, why are you trying to protect this executive at that time? So I was very curious about that. So that made me feel so happy because the president really responded to that very simple question. Sabi ko lang sa kanya, how's your relationship with our executive? Just few days ago that they had a very bad discussion on a very important issue. So it's a coaching, a short coaching conversation, I would say.
I'll support that because coaching need not be long. No, authentic coaching need not be long. No, you check in with your people, with your full interest to be truly present and kamustahin siya. That's part of coaching. So do not demystify that. It need not be 1 hour. It need not be 2 hours. No, but that presence should always be there. And that sincere intent. And that's what he saw in you.
Conversations talaga no, with me, with share the naps. One thing I noticed po, Nina, is there's a memorable experience na as, coaches and coaching experience. There's something evident, may maliit, no?
Yeah.
Something like a clear output of what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe wonder din, no? Naalala ko to, as a line leader myself, my experience. Remember, kasi coaching is you're trying to help them think for themselves.
Yes.
Diba? You're not going to give them the answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're going to make sure that they improve their thought process. So that one time na they came to you, not with a problem, but with options already. That was a very clear indication that they are already thinking. So yun, naalala ko rin tuloy. Nagbalik tanaw din po ako sa experience ko. But no, I am really learning a lot, very valuable lessons, no, and best practices that we're getting from our panel and from Coach Tina. Meron isa dito very, siguro, we can say, basic question, pero a lot may be thinking this, diba? Coaching in the workplace. How do we even start? What's the first step now? How do you create the kind of culture in the workplace? Maybe you can answer as an HR practitioner, di ba? Kasi we are the ones in this role. Dagdagan naman natin, but maybe Sir Eric can answer first.
Yeah, when I mentioned earlier that it's our talent management strategy is to build leaders from within, I think it's not just an HR objective. It's also a business strategy. No, and you should start there. What is your vision for your company? You know that in the next 10 years, you will be competing. We didn't know 7 years ago that we will be competing with this number of Chinese brands and all that. We didn't know that, but we were preparing way ahead. So your program has to be aligned with your objective and the company's objectives. Knowing that we want to grow your business selling 50,000 units in the next 10 years, you should prepare your organization. So putting a coaching and mentoring program has to be aligned with your long-term objectives.
Start first with the goal. Thank you.
That actually is the same view that we have. You really have to find the business need Otherwise, whatever programs you're putting in, even coaching, will not actually fly out. No, so in our case, the bank has actually accelerated its growth targets, aspirations, and over the last few months, we've actually rebranded. So clearly, there's already that direction, a different direction from where we are, where we were a couple of years ago. So for us to do that, we need to make sure that it's embedded in our performance management. So as Coach Tina had said, it could be a simple conversation, a coaching for performance conversation. So that's something that you need, in the business. They can't do away with that. So they have to do something like that. And we're also trying to make sure that, our employees would actually be equipped, the line would be equipped to do that. So we're still in the process of getting that embedded. Because sometimes the performance conversations medyo hindi siya practice, in the past. And we're trying to put that, more of a, it's really something that's part of the development, process for the employees, and make sure that the performance is also where we want them to be, no? So I guess, you really have to tie it up with your business objectives para at least, those people doing it would actually embrace it talaga. Oo, yeah.
Yeah. And it's resonating with me, what our co-panelists also mentioned. I'll reply to that in three layers. So the first layer is, as they said, the business. So one of the high five goals of HR is actually grow the people, grow the business. So to really show that there is a really direct correlation. And then the talent management is there integrated because you're protecting the future proofing the business also. And then the second layer, I would say, are the middle managers, equipping them, just like what you said, Tani, a while ago. So we've done our rollout of our programs for mentoring and coaching, and we're not yet done because now we are also going to the level of the individuals because we also have to train our coaches and mentees. Because for us to have a psychological safety, they also have to understand that they have a voice. And so the power of feedback is something we've been trying to also embed, because that one is your personal choice to be able to speak out, speak up. And so I think it's always a three layer, the business, the middle managers who will lead the way, and then the people themselves, the coaches and the mentees being self driven. And we actually have an ongoing culture journey. We are on our third year. Culture is a long, project. It's a long initiative. So we're in our third year, and we're hoping to be able to embed it by 2027. Ay, nag-commit. We should have something by 2027. Recorded, televised. My team is there.
No, culture is not something na one click.
Yeah.
Okay now.
Mm-mm.
So talagang yung question very real. How do we start? How do we introduce? And then, I think also important, how do you maintain? Kasi hindi pwede you start it. Tapos you'll fail, diba? So you mentioned ko, Stanley kanina, you're still in the process of this, and then you visit the performance management, making sure that yung levels are there, diba? Ensuring that there's always something that you're doing.
Ako, I'll add, no, supporting that it should always be in alignment with the business strategy, no? That's why our people strategy as human resources or human capital will always have to be in alignment with the business strategy. So that's rule of thumb, no? Second, that also support what you're saying, that it has to be, you don't start at a single level. You have to intervene in different levels inside the organization. So amplifying that, and siguro the only thing I wanted to add is whenever, almost always, it will start or it will be given to learning and development. No, di ba? Learning and development, tulungan nyo kami dito. No? Make sure L&D people, HR people, we don't approach it simply from L&D. That's my take, no? Meaning, number one, look at the strategy of the organization and make sure our strategy, our people's strategy are in alignment. Number two, look at the talents that we have. Now look at that. Look at our raw materials so that we know, do we develop? Do we buy? Do we borrow from our other organizations? Because in building coaches and building mentors inside your organization, it's so uber important that you have the right people on the bus. No? Ang hirap po pagka hindi. The third that you will have to take a look at is, are you organized well in such a way that this coaching and mentoring partnerships may flourish? No? Tingnan nyo yung organization structure nyo. And then tingnan nyo yung performance and rewards. Is it really supporting, are our performance and rewards supporting this kind of behavior? No? So, I think the short of it is, do not just approach it from learning and development. Albeit the obvious answer, or the obvious need is learning and development. Always address it from a holistic standpoint, organizational development standpoint, because that's how we add value to the business. And uber important, align it with the business strategy. No? Nothing from what human capital or HR is doing would be relevant to the business if it does not support that business strategy. So keep that in mind.
Thank you so much, Coach Tina and our panelists. I think we have one more question that we can answer. I'll throw it back again to our live audience. Nandiyan pa ba kayo, guys? Yes, okay.
Ayan si Sir! Ay, Sir, kataas-taasan. Kagalag-galangan.
Yes, very good.
Ako mukhang, let's brace ourselves.
Okay, let's brace ourselves.
Hindi lang naman ang tanong ko. So we talked about strategy of aligning coaching with the organization's goals, and that is for the business. It's very clear. But you also mentioned in passing, we shouldn't forget the coachee. And in here, the other part kasi of this one is the person himself. And
Yes.
he has expectations, by the way.
Mm-mm.
So you mentioned about proper rewards that go with your coaching efforts, so that they continue to be motivated.
Mm.
But when you develop a culture which is long to take, sometimes you reach a level where the expectations have already gone so high,
Mm.
and you're not able to answer to all the requirements of the people or their personal expectations, especially if you're talking about millennials.
Mm-mm.
So if you're not able to respond to all their expectations, which is not realistic and practical, how do you manage to make their expectations realistic? How do you get them to think in a way that it's benefiting, coaching is benefiting them in many ways, and not just merely because there is a reward here.
Tama. So ako ba unang sasagot, mga panelists?
Buti na lang moderator.
Sir Ed, ganito siya. My point of view from your query, no? Any leader, regardless of the rank in the organization, would only have two important agenda. The first one is engagement. No, kailangan natin engage ang tao. The second one is business performance. Any leader, no, yung dalawang yon ang kailangan niyang pagbutihin, and those are not independent from one another. It supports one another. If you have engaged people, they will perform. If there is performance, people will get engaged more because they will be given better bonuses. No? So kasama po yan, kaakibat yan. So what happens now is, so if we know as leaders, ito yung primary responsibility natin. Engagement and performance. And by the way, that makes up your culture. Engagement and performance will make up your culture. Then you go back to the smallest part of that engagement and performance, i.e., yung talento. yung talent. Siya yung smallest part dun eh. So, regardless if that is organizational culture, team culture, or individual, I need to be able to engage the person and allow him to perform. No? Para maramdaman niya, enabled siya. Now, totoo yun. Totoo yung sinabi sa atin na sometimes, I'm not saying we do have Gen Zs here. Sometimes, no, Gen Zs may have some unrealistic expectations. And this is where our ability as leaders to build connectedness, with our people, especially if they are Gen Zs, is so important. It's so important. It's not only about leading you, giving you targets, etc. It's about building that connectedness with the person. No? Kung kaya nga isa-isang tao, because the only way that the person will really perform, no, and would really be engaged, kahit ano pang ipagawa mo, is when they have connection with the leader. When they have connection with you. And I don't know, sir, if that addresses your query, but that's the first thing that came up to my mind. And maybe our panelists would have a view.
Okay. So I would say also that managing a multi-gen workforce is one of the biggest challenges of this time. Okay. And so mentoring and coaching should also be taken into that context, as you've said. So what I notice is that the younger generation really tend to be a little bit more impatient. Perhaps I'm a Gen X. They tend to be more impatient, but they're really very open to sharing their thoughts. So I think the dialogue is very important. And mentoring and coaching rests on the power of meaningful conversations. So if you can harness that, then you can find out what they want. And it's not something that is generic. Okay, Gen Zs want this and that. Because you can only generalize so much. It's very important for the leaders to learn how to manage those conversations and to really give time. And I've seen it happen. We've had our fair share of hypo young talents who are Gen Zs who are able to stay. And we have senior managers who are Gen Zs now because we are 91% Gen Zs and Gen Y. But then we also have some Gen Zs who left before reaching their second year. Yeah. So really the conversations have to happen, but we also have to teach and train. Because I also found out that giving and receiving feedback, for instance, is not something which may come naturally to a lot of people. So we have to be able to break that very, very basic skill. But if we can master that, then we can make a big difference in day-to-day relationships.
Yeah, that's true. So, on Cheryl's point about the feedback. So at China Bank, we've actually been practicing feedback programs, so for various purposes. But I think that's a way to actually get people to be comfortable to speak out, share their thoughts, in a group setting, but obviously more casual, informal. So for us to actually get that kind of behavior, giving all of those feedback programs, we do that across staff, officers, even our management trainees. So it's something that when practiced properly, will actually get them to be, having that kind of behavior when they actually interact with their leaders. So, I guess to your point, sir, it's really making sure that, as what Coach Tina had said, connectedness. We make sure that there's a channel for them to actually give their feedback, their thoughts, their ideas. So in a way, it actually makes the probably the culture more safe for them to speak out. Yes.
Well, Sir Ed, in Nissan, we have this what we call career development plan, which actually maintains engagement. Kasi mga coaches, kailangan lang or kailangan nilang yung continuous conversation about career. In Nissan, when we develop our employees, they're not just for the Philippines. We are developing them for the Nissan globally. We've sent our accelerated graduates, alumni in Thailand, Japan, and even in Europe And well, we're also preparing them for succession plan, no? So we make sure, Sir Ed, that continuous discussion. We would have a dedicated month we call career development month, which is actually in October. That we talk about careers, we invite HR people, we have conversation just last 2 weeks ago on careers, and then before we would only ask managers to prepare CDP. This is the individual IDP. In other companies, they call it IDP. Here, we call it CDP and IDP in tandem. We brought it down to staff level because we want to see whether they want also to be deployed outside the Philippines. And our president specifically asked me, Eric, ask employees where they want to work, either here or even outside the country. So it's a continuous conversation. We have one-on-one discussion, and it's a live document. CDP are uploaded in Workday. Every time we have a vacancy, we would look at CDP. Sino ba dyan ang pwede sa after sales? Sino ba pwede sa sales? Sino ba pwede sa Office of the President? We look at our internal talents first and foremost. Because sabi nga naman, leaders from within. So we literally walk the talk.
Okay, the questions keep coming in, no? So, ang gaganda, kaya lang, I'm looking at our time. Medyo, oo, 3:30, hanggang 3:30 lang tayo. Sana we have more time. But the good thing is, it's just the first episode of this Transforming the World Through Coaching. So, meron pa tayong ibang episodes. And before we close, no, so I'd like to ask every one of you to give 1 to 2 sentences. Ano yung gusto niyo key takeaway ng ating audience from our in-person and our online audience? Ano yung meron kayong gusto i-impart with them when it comes to this topic? Sige, let's start with Coach Tani. Ay,
What? Na-promote na ako. Wish na ako. Wish list pa yan. Bucket list ko pa yan. So baka matotoo na nga, no? But, I think from me, I think what we need to probably look at, key takeaway for me is really, when you actually do something, it has to be deliberate with a purpose. Diba? So, for it to really prosper, there has to be a purpose to it, no? So, whether it's coaching, mentoring, there has to be a purpose. Secondly, um, there's no rushing into putting in place a program. And it takes time. So the more you prepare properly, the better outcome you'll actually have. And in our team, we practice, learn and parang test and learn. So you don't actually plan for a perfect one to roll out. You roll out based on what's the need for the moment, and then fine tune and then roll out further, ganon. So the pressure doesn't build on you, and it's really you're doing things more for addressing, what the need was in the first place. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sige, Sir Eric, and then last naman.
Well, as an individual, you own your future to yourself. No? You will drive your own career. You are sitting at the steering wheel. No? So HR and management are here to provide you the opportunities, the resources, the support. But it is you who will decide where you want to go.
I want to start with a purpose. So the business, and then also, of course, the people. And then also, you don't start with a big bang, but you start practical so that the quick wins are met and people will start to believe. You have to build the seeds where people will have reasons to believe. And you can grow and snowball into a positive, cultural movement. And there will be some setbacks, there will be some slides, but keep the faith and stay the course.
Ganda naman.
Yeah, sige po.
I'll just amplify whatever
Yeah,
they
yeah.
said, no? But Coach Eric here, aspiring ICF, no, actually got it, no. So ako, simple lang. Sagot mo ang career mo sa iyong organization. So you don't rely on your leader, you don't rely on your organization, you rely on yourself in pursuing and navigating a career. No, in the first place, ayaw mo magkaroon ng regrets, ayaw mo may masisi, it's only yourself. And if and only if, just like the employees of this organizations, they're so blessed because coaching and mentoring are already offered for employees, no? Please avail of it. Avail of it. Kasi kukonti lang po ang organization to really, build talents from within, coach leaders and talents to, for them to unleash their potential in the organization. So, this is really, oh my gosh, 1.5 hours. Ang dami kong natutunan. Sabi ko nga, okay na okay talaga ako mag-moderator kasi this is really, okay na po ako dito. I'm really learning a lot, no? And this is something very valuable for us to learn. I'm seeing that it's not easy. Tama? So it's for me that's what I'm getting. It's not easy, but it's worth it. No? And then we start with the purpose. We make it effective, not for the show, not but something that will really create impact to our organization as HR practitioners, as line leaders, as coaches ourselves, diba? We make sure that we are we integrate with the purpose. Yeah. So with that, ayan, so thank you so much to our live audience. Thank you so much to our online audience, watching us from Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, may LinkedIn din yata, no? I think naka-TikTok din tayo. so thank you so much. Yes, naka-hybrid talaga tayo. Thank you so much. Now, please fill out, we would just like to request that you fill out our evaluation form so that we know how we can improve our upcoming podcasts, specifically for the Transforming the World Through Coaching podcast show. So with that, I would like to thank the People Management Association of the Philippines, the Philippine Society of Fellows, and International Coaching Federation of the Philippines, and of course, Nissan Philippines for making this possible. Again, so thank you each and every one of you for joining us. And I'm sorry, maraming pang question talaga. No? What we're going to do sa panel sa questions, we can probably send them to our speakers kung masasagot nila. We can send them to you. We can also the link kasi we can respond naman doon sa panel. So thank you once again for joining us. We hope to see you all on our next podcast entitled Creating High-Performing Teams Through Coaching. In May 2025, every quarter po meron tayong podcast show. Correct. So, babasahin ko lang kasi this just in. Yung ating, ano yun? Yung ating title for the next 2 quarters. Quarter 3, meron naman tayong Transforming Leaders Through Coaching. And then quarter 4, we have Sustaining Employee Well-Being Through Coaching. We will keep you posted on the schedule of these podcast shows. So, abangan nyo lang po yan sa PMAP page para you can sign up when it's available na for registration. So, again, my name is Gemma, and it's been a pleasure to be your host and moderator. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week ahead. Stay safe. Thank you so much. Good job.